In this world of technology, things are ever changing, rearranging. You need someone to help you out. I know someone who can. Come and take a journey with me as we go through the land of technology. You'll never be alone. You'll be with Paul Amadeus Lane in the Tech Zone.
Welcome back to the Tech Zone. Paul Amadeus Lane. Thank you so much for joining me in our last segment of the show. We're talking about, in the midst of COVID-19, how technology is really answering the call to help us to navigate life. In our first segment, we talked about ways that we can keep ourselves stocked up with supplies using technology. In the second segment, we talked about how one company is making sure that if you're under quarantine, how patients are still able to maintain their pharmaceutical regimen. And in this last segment right here, we're going to talk about how technology is helping the education field continue to educate our kids that are in school. I've seen some pretty funny posts on social media, text messages that I've gotten from friends about their kids being at home, and it's really funny. And not making just our light of the situation, but just using a little humor dealing with the situation. But it's really a serious situation we have, that the schools had to be closed down. But what can technology do to help us still educate our kids? What can educators use to help meet this challenge, even in this climate of COVID-19? My next guest is going to tell us what his company is doing to help meet this particular challenge. And I'm so happy to have with me right now the co-founder and CEO of Classkick, Andrew Rowland. How you doing, Andrew? How are you?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me, Paul.
Hey, great to have you, man. So how's everything going in Chicago, man?
Well, we're practicing much social distancing. And when it comes to Classkick, we're just trying to support the thousands of schools that are flooding in and saying, hey, we really need help with distance learning. So I'm going to be there for them.
Yeah, I think it's incredible, Andrew, because when I got this story across my email, I was like, yes, this is something we need, especially here in Southern California, and also our listeners throughout the United States, and even some in the world too, that this is something that we have to think about, especially with sheltering at home and our children being educated. And that being said, how will teachers be able to use Classkick during this coronavirus pandemic that we're going through, to make sure that they are still educating our children out there, and they can still, be proactive even during this time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, Classkick was originally made for in-school use, but it turns out that with remote learning, teachers and students love it because it makes it feel like you are in person doing all the classroom activities together, even though you're doing it virtually. You're doing it with distance learning. Classkick has always believed that every student should feel happy and successful in their learning, and so that's what we set out to do with our product in the first place. But it also turns out that because of the design of the product, it lends itself really well to virtual learning, and I think that's why we're seeing just this huge surge in demand that we're trying to meet. And we're also giving it away for free as much as we can to schools in need, because a lot of schools right now, they don't have time to buy Classkick Pro. They don't, they're working from home. They can't go through all that bureaucracy. They just need to use it now. And so we're helping meet that need by providing it for them as fast as possible.
I love it, Andrew. And that's one thing that I've always thought when it comes to, I said again, Andrew, I love this. And that's what I always thought when it came to technology, that we would get to the point where we can do some remote learning. We know this is not anything new, but this is something that really is highlighted right now, especially in the time in which we live in. And for some out there who may be kind of skeptical about when it comes to remote learning, how does it work? Maybe there's an educator out there saying, this is something I want to implement, but I don't know, I'm not a techie. I can't do this, I can't do that. So, Andrew, how does it work?
Paul, I can show you an example if you want to see it.
Hey, let's do it, my friend.
All right, sounds good. So here is a teacher who just started using Classkick a few days ago. And they sent out the work to their students, and boom, their students were doing calculus. And the teacher was able to zoom into each one of these thumbnails, give them help, give them points, answer. As you can see on the right, there's a bunch of hand raises. And this really just turned that distance learning environment into a very cohesive and personal experience, as if they were right back in the classroom. So that example I really like, because it's a teacher who just started it and they were able to get up and running without a problem. Here's another teacher who teaches middle school math, and I'm just going to play part of this video because it is so funny how creative teachers get.
Hey everybody there. I want to show you something
This
that's
is
actually
just,
got
I thought,
a bunch of stuff going on. So you guys sent an email out about Bitmoji,
This is really
and
cool.
I never used Bitmoji, but now I'm using it, and I absolutely love it. You also recently just changed the ability to move the stickers, which is absolutely amazing as well. So now what I've done is I actually have combined the Bitmoji with your stickers to make some really, really awesome, amazing things going on. So I'll give you an example. Click that, put that on, and then you've got the Bitmoji Classkick sticker with the score, and everything is awesome.
Isn't that amazing how teachers just figured this out?
Andrew, this is awesome. And I have another question I want to ask you, but before I do that, what made you guys want to create something like this? Was it something that you saw a need when it came to education? Tell us that backstory, man, because inquiring minds want to know.
Well, it all started when I was a high school math and robotics teacher here in Chicago. I absolutely loved teaching, loved my class, all the hardworking colleagues that I knew. And then I had a career switch. Unfortunately, my school shut down. I decided to go learn computer science, ended up at Google and YouTube for a while. And that was an amazing experience too, of course, learning everything, in the technology world out in the West Coast. But I really just missed teaching, and I missed the classroom, my students, and I knew I just wanted to create something that had a daily impact on student learning. And so I started building something that I knew that I would use in the classroom. And I started getting feedback from other teachers, and that's how Classkick began. And now it's this platform that teachers love using for going paperless and seeing all their students thinking and helping their students right when they need it most.
I love it. I love it. I love it, Andrew. And it's really intriguing to see that example you showed us when that one teacher was using like bit emojis, things like that, how he integrated in that and staying current to what children are really interested in nowadays. So that's pretty cool, man. I really love that example.
One of our core philosophies and values is trust teachers and trust students. We're trying to help teachers do what they do more effectively. So we want to create an open platform that just lets them, as you say, stay with the times. We can barely stay current, but we know that teachers have deep relationships with every one of their students. And we want students and teachers to be able to express themselves because it's those relationships that really drive learning at the end of the day.
Well said, well said. So how many teachers or educators have signed up for the app so far?
Some of these numbers are confidential, but in general, we have tens of thousands of educators around the world. And what's really just something to consider for us in the next couple of weeks is how much the coronavirus has changed this. Just a week ago or so, we had maybe a little bit more than in the tens of thousands of active schools, and just within probably under 10 days, we've nearly had a 200% increase in the number of schools on our platform. And keep in mind, in the old days and today, we've really never done any marketing, right? We've never spent money on marketing dollars. This is all word of mouth, teachers around the world just sharing that this is a platform they like. But now there's a need. There's a really tremendous need, and so we're hearing that demand and we're trying to meet it. by letting as many folks onto the platform, onto the pro version of the platform, as possible. So now you can get Classkick Pro if you are a school going remote that really needs it.
I love it. I love it. And when we look at this again, Andrew, it really shows us where we're at in the stream of time when it comes to just education and just what's out there. And one thing I know when it comes to education, it's worldwide. It's just not here in the United States, but it's everywhere throughout the world in different countries. Is Classkick available throughout the world, or is it just something that's here in the United States?
Classkick is available and used around the world. In fact, it's used in over 100 countries. One reason that it's used in so many countries is that it's content agnostic, kind of similar to a copy machine or a Xerox machine. As long as you know how to use the Xerox machine, you can put whatever content into it you want. It's the same on Classkick. Teachers put all kinds of work, whether it's a first grader drawing a picture in one country or a fifth grader studying foreign language in another country or doing math. It's all the teacher's work that goes onto Classkick, and then the students are interacting with it.
I love it. I love it. And what are some of the features of Classkick? I'm kind of a geek myself, so I'm geeking out on the features. So what are some of the features that are in Classkick?
So we saw some of them where you can see all of your students in real time, and you can zoom into one student's screen and give them help or give them encouragement, as that one teacher did. They gave them a sticker that came with points, and then they also added the Bitmoji on as the sticker. Students can also raise their hand privately, which we found to be truly transformative because it's allowed students to ask for help when they genuinely need it. Whereas before, if you broadcast to the whole class physically, hey, I need help, a lot of students don't like to do that. And it results in them not getting the attention and assistance that they need to get over a small hurdle. And so privately raising their hands has done wonders. And then the last thing that teachers and students really love is peer helping. So also the teacher can turn this on and off. When they turn it on, students can help each other in Classkick. And that's also been really great for remote learning.
And I can imagine with the need now arising because of coronavirus that is there a wait list? When can ones get on this? Because something tells me, man, you guys are getting blown up. When it comes to people wanting to use this. So please speak on that if you don't mind.
Yeah, we are trying to get through the wait list as fast as possible. We've actually had multiple thousands of schools sign up on the wait list, and we're inviting them onto the free pro platform as fast as possible, on the order of hundreds and hundreds per day. But we're also being careful because we don't want the system to collapse under the weight of all this usage either. And that, with technology and things, that is a concern. And so each day we're measuring, okay, is this still upholding the product to its highest standards for the sake of our users? And then if so, great, let's add some more schools on. And we're going to keep doing that as much as we can.
I love it. I love it. And that's where that tech mind comes in, right? Making sure all things are there. So when you add more, it's going to work right. And we appreciate you doing that. Now, how do you maintain the quality control, not only of how the system works, but the high level of education out there to make sure that the kids are learning what needs to be learned and they're getting a good quality of education?
The key to that, just really like when you're building any tech platform, is to really, really make time to listen to the people who are using it. And so deeply built into the culture of Classkick as a company is that we are always listening to our teachers and students and other stakeholders. And we do that by visiting them before coronavirus in person. We would be in a school at least once a week, doing lots of interviews on the phone and on video chat with teachers, and sometimes with a whole class of students. And it's really imbuing that listening to teachers and students in our company that's created a great product and continues to mold the product to meet the current needs of education. It's the teachers who are on the front lines. It's not us. And we're just here to understand what is their day-to-day like and how can we make it even better.
And what I like about it, too, you kind of mentioned a little bit about even getting feedback from students. And I think that's great because we want we want to hear, different feedback from the students and see how they feel about it. So how does that work? How does the feedback from students work?
Well, sometimes when we're there in person, at the end of class, we'll just say, hey guys, we're from Classkick, and we'd love to hear what's working for you and what's not working for you. And we get all kinds of incredible ideas. Something that's definitely in our product pipeline right now for future implementation is a student raised their hand and they said, hey, I would love a rainbow pen. And then another student heard them and they said, oh, wait, can we also get a glitter pen?
I love it.
And that if that helps students express themselves and engage more with the material they're working on, then we want to hear about that.
I love it. I love it. And when it comes to the different devices out there that we have, I'm a Mac user and a PC user, Android user, you name it. I have a cacophony of different devices out there. But is there a device that this platform does not work on, or does it work on everything out there that people use?
It works on everything because we have a web-based platform and an iPad native app. So if you have an iPad, it really works well to download the app and use it natively on there. But if you don't, using it in Chrome on any device also works great. One thing that we've seen a lot of schools invest in are touchscreen Chromebooks because they're so cheap these days. And Classkick is phenomenal on touchscreen Chromebooks for students because they can both type essays and responses, but they can also draw and write and do much more dynamic work. Or they can drag pieces around the screen like little magnets. So it's really dynamic.
So Andrew, this is awesome. I would assume that there's other companies out there, other platforms that are doing something like this. And if my assumption is wrong, or if it's not wrong, what makes you guys different? What sets you guys apart over at Classkick?
What really sets us apart is our culture of always listening to our teachers and students and building that into our schedules at the company. And I think what that's resulted in is putting us in a very unique sweet spot. In our transition guide to remote learning, we actually recommend a lot of other apps to create a nice suite of experiences to create distance learning. But the funny thing is, a lot of those apps are either on the front end, like an LMS, a learning management system like Google Classroom or Schoology or Canvas. We recommend that you use something like that in order to calendar out all of the classes for the students. The students go in and they say, oh, today I'm going to do this activity, click, and then they end up clicking a Classkick activity. And then either on before or after the Classkick activity, sometimes teachers want to videotape a lesson or they want to do a demonstration like a screencast. And there's a lot of cool tools that do that, everything from Screencastify, Screencast-O-Matic, Edpuzzle, that helps put together a lesson. But the learning moment really occurs in this sweet spot, and that's what we discovered, the sweet spot of when students are doing the work, doing the activity. And Classkick, at least according to our users, is really the only thing that can provide a really good experience for that, where the students can work at their own pace, and then the teacher can see all the students and hop right in and help them.
I love it. Andrew, before I let you go, a couple of questions. One is I can really tell that you love being in the educational field when you were a teacher. I can tell that by the way we're having this discussion. What is like your most memorable memory of being an educator? I think your answer can spurn ones out there who maybe wanting to go into education field and to take on that. Well, what is like your most memorable, part of being an educator, my friend?
Paul, I think if you ask that question of any teacher and they give you a genuine answer, they'll probably start crying because you just pour your heart into teaching when you're a teacher, and you try to do so much for your students, and there's almost no end to it. So I can certainly remember the most meaningful times in teaching. It was not when my students, got an A+ or my students all achieved, what I wanted them to achieve. That is certainly a really happy memory itself. But also it's those moments when you didn't know that a student also felt that they were getting something out of it. And you found out later because they wrote you a letter or they told you at the end of the year. That's why people do it. That's why people go into teaching. And that's an experience that I want to streamline and help many other teachers create, because every teacher is so hardworking and they deserve tools to take the friction out of their day so that they can build those relationships with students.
Well said. I have nothing against athletes or entertainers out there. They work hard. But the income disparity between entertainers and athletes and teachers, to me, is just ridiculous. I mean, what you guys do, you guys shape the future. You help young ones out there. You really mold lives, and there's an imbalance there. And hopefully one day it'll be more balanced, because what you do and what you're able to do, especially with this Classkick platform, helping educators out there, is truly amazing. Now, my last question has to do with tech. Being a geek myself, looking at where tech is today, Andrew, when you first fell in love with technology, seeing what you're able to do today with tech, man, that has to blow your mind, man.
Well, I think technology has evolved a lot, and we've really realized a lot of potential that technology has to offer the world in many areas, not just education. But also there's sort of another side to technology that I think only we're just now discovering, which is tech responsibility. And this is a topic I believe in a lot. So I'm sort of glad you asked about technology in general. I think there's just so much potential. So many more people are going into technology today, learning computer science, and we're trying to push this in schools, and I think that's all great. But if we don't also teach the human side of it, the moral side of it, then there's a lot of ways it can go haywire. And I think we've seen that in big tech and in other areas in the last decade. So it's really important that we also emphasize this idea of tech responsibility and what it means to wield, that much technology.
I love it, Andrew. Thank you for sharing that, because I believe the same way. We got to have responsibility, or as I used to say in the Rugrats show and TV, movie, sponsibility. That's what we got to have. We got to have sponsibility when it comes to tech. But before I let you go, my friend, I promise I'm going to let you go after this one. How can one find out more information about Classkick and really getting involved and using this amazing piece of innovation out there, especially during this time with the coronavirus?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to classkick.com. You can visit our Instagram. There's a lot of fun teachers and use cases teachers are putting there on Instagram and on their stories and on the videos on our profile. You can go on our Twitter and our YouTube playlists to learn how to use it. But if you just want to get started right away, you can go get started for free at classkick.com.
Awesome. Andrew, great chatting with you, my friend. Love to have you back on, and I love for our listeners and our viewers who are in the education field to be a part of this awesome piece of innovation with Classkick. And I'm going to have them come on the show and talk about and brag about all the things that you guys put in this, my friend. But great talking with you. Really appreciate what you guys are doing, especially during this time with this pandemic going on. Please stay safe and, be well, my friend. And we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks so much, Paul. It's been great. Thanks for having us.
Huge shout out to Classkick's CEO and founder, Andrew Rowland, for joining me talking about this amazing platform. And I always love to talk with educators to see what made them want to be educators in the first place. And I appreciate Andrew reaching out to me. And not reaching out to me, but I appreciate Andrew sharing his story with me. All right, folks, this is the end of our show. Make sure you tune in next week. We're looking to chase down some giants in the tech world, just to talk about the effect of COVID-19, what it's doing with technologies and the opportunities that have maybe reared its head because of the time in which we live in and how technology is helping us live life a little bit more easier out there. So please reach out to me. Website, paulamadeouslane.com. This is ABC News Radio KMET. You're in the Tech Zone. Talk to you next week.
In this world of technology, things are ever changing, rearranging. You need someone to help you out. I know someone who can. Come and take a journey with me as we go through the land of technology. You'll never be alone. You'll be with Paul Amadeus Lane in the tech zone.